Wild Alaska, where the battle for survival has no rules. A 400-kilogram Alaska grizzly bear, undefeated. Until a creature with nothing left to lose shows up. Alaska predators that have brought down 900-kilogram bison, stopped by a 9-kilogram animal. Today, in the last frontier wildlife, the balance of power shifts when no one expects it. The grizzly bear, apex predator of Alaska's summer food chain, needs 135,000 kilocalories a day to store enough fat for 8 months of winter. The wolf, the only land predator that divides roles within the pack, coordinating to bring down prey, 10 times its own body weight. The polar bear, 800 kilograms, a sense of smell 7 times sharper than a hunting dog, capable of detecting a carcass under 1 meter of snow from 32 kilometers away. Which of them will be overthrown, and by what? Alaska, the largest territory in North America. 1.7 million square kilometers, larger than all of Argentina. Here, winter lasts 8 months. Interior temperatures range from -15 to -50 degrees Celsius. Below the surface lies permafrost, hundreds of meters deep. It blocks water from draining down, creating an ecosystem found nowhere else on Earth. 35 species of predators share this land along invisible boundaries. But which one truly controls it? A 300-kilogram brown bear, a 6-kilogram eagle, a weight ratio of 50 to 1. The most dangerous species in Alaska is not the heaviest, it is the one with no other choice. And at these summer salmon falls, the creature with no choice is stepping forward. Alaska has 5 species of Pacific salmon. From July through October, all 5 run upstream, back to the rivers where they were born, an unbroken cycle of life and death. And every year, the Alaska grizzly bear waits for this. An adult Chinook salmon averages 4.5 kilograms, delivering 4,500 kilocalories per fish, most of it concentrated in belly fat and roe. The grizzly bear needs 135,000 kilocalories a day, from August through September, to build enough fat for winter. That is the target, 30 salmon a day without rest for 6 straight weeks at peak season. Position at the falls is not a matter of preference, it is a matter of survival. At the center of the falls, a skilled bear's catch success rate reaches 70%. At the edge position, that rate drops to 25 to 30%. That gap, compounded over 6 weeks, can determine whether a bear stores enough fat to survive 8 months without eating. "400 kilograms, 12 years old. This male has held the center position for 5 straight summers. Every encounter sends a message to the 50 individuals watching from all sides. The last time this alpha faced a serious challenge was 2 summers ago. Since then, no one has tried, until today. This female is Nora. Nora weighs 240 kilograms. She is nursing 2 6-month-old cubs. To sustain her milk supply for both cubs, she needs an additional 22,000 kilocalories a day, above her own baseline requirement. At the edge position with a 25% catch rate, she does not have the time or energy to reach that number. The center position makes it possible. Nora has no choice but to challenge the one who holds it. The alpha registers Nora entering his 10-meter zone, close enough to trigger his dominance reflex. The alpha opens wide, displaying his canines, a level 1 warning signal. Nora does not retreat. In a single confrontation, reputation disappears when every observer sees it disappear. When the top position destabilizes, every rank below it shifts within hours. The alpha retreats to the tree line, alone, not a failure of strength. But not every creature benefiting from the salmon season is a bear. There is a species accumulating enough to survive an 8-month winter on just 0.8 kilograms of body weight. The American mink, 0.8 to 1.6 kilograms, semi-aquatic, unable to compete directly with bears at any position on the salmon falls. So it operates on the outer radius, focusing on what bears leave behind. At peak salmon season, 60% of a mink's diet is salmon carcass. But mink do not just eat. Each day during peak season, an adult mink builds 15 to 20 food caches within 500 meters of its territory. Within 12 to 18 months at the next molt. Mink predation pressure does not destroy the crab population. It removes the weakest individuals and gives stronger ones the chance to regenerate. At the peak of the bird migration season, the Chilkat River in southeast Alaska draws up to 4,000 bald eagles, the highest density ever recorded on Earth. An adult bald eagle, 2.4-meter wingspan, dive speed of 120 kilometers per hour, capable of carrying prey weighing 1.8 kilograms in sustained flight. But eagles do not only take fish from the water, they take from bears. Kleptoparasitism in Alaska bald eagles is documented at a rate 340% higher during salmon season than in any other time of year. But bears do not always serve the eagle. They cannot catch an eagle in the air. But an eagle's nest is another matter. A bald eagle nest in Alaska weighs 60 to 90 kilograms. After years of accumulated material, typically placed 12 to 20 meters up in a tree or on a cliff face. By late September, Alaska's river systems begin to change color. Not because of autumn, because the salmon are dying. Pacific salmon are semmelparous. They reproduce once in their lifetime, then surrender to the current. After spawning, the salmon's body breaks down from within, cortisol spikes. The immune system collapses. Kidneys and liver shut down in sequence. The entire process takes 2 to 7 days, depending on the species. 1 kilogram of decomposing salmon delivers 0.5 grams of nitrogen to the surrounding environment. Across an entire river system, the average Alaska River transfers to the surrounding forest. 50 to 150 kilograms of marine-derived nitrogen per hectare per year. That figure is equivalent to the nitrogen fertilizer a farmer applies to average cropland in North America. Alaska forests along salmon rivers grow 30% taller than forests of the same type elsewhere and grow 3 times as fast. Salmon do not only feed the bears, salmon feed the entire forest surrounding the bears. When the autumn salmon die and the rivers fall silent, something else begins. The Western Arctic caribou herd, approximately 200,000 individuals, are migrating from their summer range in the Brooks Range. To their winter grounds in the lowlands of western Alaska. This is the largest land mammal migration in North America by individual count, with an annual round-trip distance of up to 4,800 kilometers. A female caribou can run 80 kilometers per hour over short distances. A newborn calf, less than 24 hours old, already runs fast enough to keep pace with the herd. But caribou do not migrate in random herds. They move along corridors held fixed across generations, and every predator in Alaska knows exactly where those corridors are. The Arctic fox, 3.5 kilograms. It does not shelter, it hunts. The Arctic fox's coat has 7 distinct density layers, from the thickest underfur to the outermost guard hairs, arranged to trap still air. Still air is the most effective insulation available. The Arctic fox's thermoneutral zone, the ambient temperature at which it burns no extra energy to maintain body heat, is -7 degrees Celsius. At -50 degrees Celsius, the fox burns additional energy to stay warm, but with its 7-layer coat, that extra expenditure is only 15% of total daily energy, not enough to stop it hunting. In its feet, a countercurrent heat exchange system. Arterial and venous blood vessels in the paws interweave, transferring heat from blood back toward the heart, before cold blood reaches the extremities. The result is that a fox's paws maintain 1 degree Celsius, even when in contact with -35 degree snow, just enough to prevent frostbite just enough to keep moving. The Arctic fox. Here's a lemming moving, beneath 30 centimeters of snow, detecting vibrations transmitted through the snowpack. The success rate of this technique is 85% when wind blows from the north or northeast, for reasons not yet fully understood. In summer, each fox stores 100 to 130 prey items in caches hidden beneath the snow. That is enough stored food to last through winter. An adult male snowy owl has a 1.6-meter wingspan and weighs 2.3 kilograms, the heaviest owl species in North America. What makes it lethal is total silence. The snowy owl's flight feathers have a specialized microstructure, a comb and fringe edge instead of the straight edges found in most birds, creating laminar rather than turbulent airflow. Its wing beats are silent. When a snowy owl approaches prey at 40 kilometers per hour, the target hears nothing until the talons make contact. The snowy owl's facial disc works like a parabolic sound reflector, focusing environmental sound into its ears. Its two ears are asymmetrical. The right ear sits 3 centimeters higher than the left, creating a time difference in sound arrival from each side, to pinpoint the exact height of a sound source. Every individual in a pack can recognize the voice of every other member through acoustic recognition built from birth. Each Alaska wolf pack controls a territory, ranging from 750 to 2,000 square kilometers. And this is the only land species that can force a bear to abandon a meal. This strategy requires no strength advantage over the bear. It requires persistence. Alaska wolves are the apex of the terrestrial food chain. No species regularly challenges a full wolf pack, almost none. Because there is a 9-kilogram creature that cannot move fast, has no fangs, cannot climb trees, that has stopped wolves in their tracks. Not once, every single time. And that is the next story. An Alaska wolf pack of 6 to 8 individuals needs 3 to 5 kilograms of meat per wolf per day during peak activity season. Total pack requirement, 25 to 40 kilograms of meat per day. Simply put, the entire edible portion of one adult ungulate. One adult caribou yields 80 to 100 kilograms of edible meat, enough for the pack for 3 to 4 days. A 900-kilogram bison provides about 450 kilograms of meat, enough for the pack for nearly 2 weeks, but only in winter when temperatures are low enough to keep the meat from spoiling quickly. This is why wolves do not pursue every opportunity. They select carefully based on energy in to energy expenditure ratio. Attacking a healthy caribou within the herd costs 25 to 35% of the pack's energy, with only an 18% success rate. Attacking a weakened individual at the edge has a 64% success rate, with 60% less energy expenditure. Interior Alaska, the moose is heavier its legs proportionally shorter, sinking deeper than the wolves. And this winter, the pack achieved something rarer, bringing down a 900-kilogram bison. This is the pack's winter. Nothing stops them, almost. On the southeastern Alaska coast, this wolf pack has repeatedly approached sea otters resting on shore rocks. The prey disappears into an environment the wolves cannot enter. Unlike the large prey wolves are built for, it is small prey that exhausts them most. A North American porcupine. This porcupine weighs 1/88 of the wolf watching it. Ghost is a lone male. As the snow begins to thaw, hunger brings him to a small, slow prey animal he rarely encounters. He tries again from the side, trying to cut off the retreat to the tree. The 30,000 quills of the North American porcupine are coated in hard keratin and lined with thousands of microscale backward-facing barbs at the tip. When they penetrate soft tissue, those barbs expand with each movement of the victim, pulling the quill deeper into the tissue rather than out. Porcupine quills cannot be pulled out in reverse. They can only be driven deeper. No meal is worth dying for. Alaska's apex predator has just backed away from a porcupine. If even wolves that have challenged bears, that have brought down bison, have limits, what truly decides who rules? Not size. A smaller female proved that. Not numbers. Wolves have numbers and still stepped back. There is one more confrontation. Wrangell St. Elias, Southeast Alaska. Doll sheep solved the survival equation by redefining the battlefield. Doll sheep survive not because they are stronger than their predators, but because they moved into terrain where predators cannot operate effectively. When you cannot win on your opponent's battlefield, change the battlefield. The Alaska red fox is not strong enough to bring down any prey larger than 2 kilograms. It uses Earth's magnetic field as a rangefinder, correlating the sound of prey moving under snow with the relative position of the magnetic field to estimate distance before striking. No need to see the prey. Just know the magnetic field angle and align to it. Alaska is not the land of the strongest. Alaska is the land of the most equipped. Whether that tool is your body, the terrain, or Earth's magnetic field. At Round Island in southwestern Alaska, the largest recorded gathering of Pacific walrus, 30,000 individuals on a 1.2-kilometer stretch of rock. An adult male walrus weighs 1,200 kilograms with tusks 90 centimeters long. But numbers are the real weapon here. A lone polar bear approaches the walrus colony. 30,000 pairs of eyes register it immediately. 30,000 sets of tusks turn toward the approaching threat. Polar bears do not attack into the middle of a walrus colony because within the mass, no individual is isolated enough to be taken without triggering the group response. The walrus is not the strongest animal on this rock, but they are numerous enough to change the equation for every predator that approaches. Walrus solve the problem with numbers. The polar bear must solve a different problem, alone, with 27 tons of whale and a female approaching from the north. Arctic-Alaska coastline, October. Sea ice is beginning to form offshore. Daytime temperature, minus 18 degrees Celsius. Nighttime, minus 30 degrees Celsius. The carcass of a 27-ton humpback whale washed ashore 4 days ago. This is a rare event, but when it occurs, it draws every polar bear within 30 kilometers. But this picture is changing. Arctic sea ice is losing an average of 13% of its area per decade since 1979. Alaska polar bears hunt seals primarily from sea ice, standing beside breathing holes and waiting for seals to surface. As ice area shrinks, the effective hunting window each year shrinks with it. Only competition density increases. When resources contract, the hierarchy, already unstable, becomes even more fluid. 3 species, 3 seasons. But this story does not end here, because on Alaska's coastline, a species that nearly went extinct is proving that this principle also works in reverse. The female eats systematically, fat first. Every kilogram of whale blubber provides 9,000 kilocalories, 2.5 times more efficient than lean muscle. In the first 3 years of life, polar bear cubs learn all hunting techniques entirely through observing their mother. They watch, they encode, and when the moment comes, they execute. She did not win with fangs or claws. She won by being in the right position at the right time, with a reason she could not walk away from. And today, her cubs watched every step. There is a story on Alaska's coast, not about a confrontation, but about a near total disappearance, and a return no one believed was possible. Sea otters once ranged from northern Japan, around the North Pacific, to the California coast. Population estimated at 150,000 to 300,000 individuals before the 18th century. In 1741, Russian fur trading expeditions discovered their pelts, the densest fur in the mammalian world. 150,000 hairs per square centimeter, waterproof, market value in the 18th and 19th centuries, higher than any other fur. Triggering the Great Pacific Fur Rush that lasted 160 years. By 1911, the entire remaining sea otter population on the planet was estimated at 1,000 to 2,000 individuals, a fraction of the peak population that had once ranged 12,000 kilometers of coastline. The North Pacific Fur Seal Convention of 1911, signed by the United States, Great Britain on behalf of Canada, Japan, and Russia, halted sea otter hunting entirely. Today, the Alaska sea otter population is estimated at over 90,000 individuals, an increase of 45 to 90 times in 113 years. This is one of the fastest marine mammal population recoveries ever documented in conservation history. But population recovery is not the most important thing about sea otters. The most important thing is what happened to Alaska's coastline when they disappeared and what happened when they came back. Sea otters eat sea urchins, the species that grazes on kelp holdfasts. Without sea otters, sea urchins proliferate unchecked. Decades of urchin barrens have been documented along Alaska's coastline. And in California, where sea urchin density rose to levels that stripped entire kelp forests within just a few seasons. Kelp forests vanished, taking hundreds of fish, crab, and marine species that depended on them for spawning grounds and shelter. When sea otters returned, sea urchins were brought under control within the first 2 to 3 years. Kelp forests recovered, and the entire marine ecosystem followed. Kelp forests absorb CO2 from the ocean faster than tropical rainforests per unit of area. Each hectare of recovering kelp forest absorbs a quantity of carbon that would not exist without sea otters. Sea otters are not just a species, they are a keystone species, the one whose removal causes the entire ecosystem to collapse. Alaska's sea otters are the most thoroughly documented example in ecological literature. Rank is never permanent, and what almost vanished completely sometimes becomes what cannot be spared. Alaska is not only where the strong survive, it is where the irreplaceable fight to endure. Alaska does not reward the largest. Alaska rewards whoever reads the moment correctly. And what happened in this film is not an exception to Alaska's rules. This is Alaska's rules. A 400-kilogram male grizzly yields position to a 240-kilogram female, a weight ratio of 0.6 to 1. A wolf pack brings down a 900-kilogram bison, then steps back from a 9-kilogram porcupine. An 800-kilogram male polar bear, a 5-to-1 weight advantage over a 150-kilogram female, yields a 27-ton whale carcass. She had no option to back down. Alaska is where circumstances shift faster than rank. The last frontier is not only a name, because it was the last land left untouched. It is the last place on Earth where the question, who is strongest, still has a different answer every day, every season, every confrontation, and the answer is never the same twice. Wild Alaska does not pause. Every season a new challenge, every challenge a new balance. Nora has claimed her position at the Salmon Falls. She will hold it until her cubs are old enough to no longer need her protection, and then someone will challenge her. Ghost and the pack walked away from the porcupine. The next day, they brought down a 180-kilogram caribou, 5 kilometers to the east. Aurora finished eating first, and when she and her cubs stepped back, the male moved in for what remained of the 27-ton whale. Alaska tells us that those with enough reason, enough timing, and enough will to hold their ground survive. If this changed the way you see the natural world, subscribe. Every week, we find the moments where the rules get rewritten in the wild world. Now, shift to Africa, where the giants also fight every single day to survive. Across the vast savanna, there is a creature whose equation for survival is decided by a weapon more powerful than muscle or numbers, and that weapon is intelligence passed down across generations. Beneath the ancient baobab trees standing like thousand-year monuments, a herd of African elephants moves steadily across a parched expanse of dry grassland. They are not only the largest land animals still living, they are the great architects of the ecosystem, digging wells in times of drought, knocking down trees to clear paths for new growth, and engineering habitats that hundreds of other species depend on. Leading the herd is the matriarch, the oldest and wisest female, carrying 6 decades of survival experience. Possessing the largest brain in the land animal world at 11 pounds, with 257 billion neurons, more than 3 times the neurons of a human brain, the matriarch is a living library. Water source maps from 20 years ago, ancient migration routes, engraved and transmitted across 3 generations entirely through memory. What forces lions to recalculate every attack equation is the matriarch's extraordinary capacity for sound discrimination. She can distinguish with precision between the roar of a male lion and a female lion. A 2011 study confirmed that herds react far more strongly and alertly to the roar of a male lion because males are larger and pose a direct threat to calves. Matriarchs over 60 years old assess threat levels with absolute precision compared to younger individuals operating a flawless early warning system. Lions actively avoid direct confrontation, but at the peak of a drought, everyone is forced to converge at shared waterholes. And when hunger crosses the threshold of tolerance, the lion pride will risk targeting a calf that has strayed from the herd. The herd's response to the lion's intentions is immediate. They form a tight defensive circle, all adults facing outward, lowering their tusks toward the attackers, while the calves are completely sheltered at the center. Against that massive, impenetrable wall, the lion pride immediately hesitates and is forced to retreat. The bloodthirsty hunting drive of the savannah's king is completely neutralized by family cohesion, a bond forged. Across 22 months of gestation and 60 years of survival memory, elephants are among the few species to pass the mirror self-recognition test in 2006, meaning they know themselves, know the position of their herd, and can distinguish which threat is most dangerous. The mother elephant remains on high alert for a long time, after the lion pride has withdrawn, because elephant memory is designed never to forget. Before a 60-year-old matriarch, the holder of the savannah's throne is merely a threat, already catalogued long ago in her magnificent brain. The Great Migration is an extraordinary journey of 2 million lives moving together. Within that unstoppable living river, the lion pride faces its most complex puzzle: how to isolate a single target from millions of individuals. When the great rains sweep across the Serengeti, cracked plains transform rapidly into lush green grasslands within just a few weeks. From the south, a river of life begins to flow, led by the vanguard species, the zebra, in numbers ranging from 200,000 to 300,000 individuals. This rippling black and white corridor moves and clears the way, cropping the tall, tough grass that wildebeest cannot reach, exposing the soft, nutritious new growth beneath. This is a perfect mutualism. Zebra open the road, wildebeest harvest the result. But zebras themselves carry within them a highly advanced defensive weapon written directly on their coat. This is the dazzle effect. when thousands of zebras surge forward together, black and white stripes in constant overlapping motion, overwhelm the predator's visual processing system. A lion's eyes cannot lock onto a fixed target inside a churning sea of shifting stripes. The survival journey continues as life is sustained and perpetuated by the great migrations. The vast blue expanse, a massive saltwater wilderness spanning 70% of our planet, where marine animals never pause and the world's deadliest battles for survival unfold beneath every wave. Within the cultural imagination of the West, the sea has long stood for forces of overwhelming might. Poseidon in Greece, Neptune in Rome. Our ancestors held that each hurricane, tremor, or tidal wave arose whenever Poseidon, in a fit of temper, drove his trident into the waves. Because of this, sailors preparing to set sail would carry out careful rites and offerings, hoping to soften the unpredictable god's mood. Such awe and dread shaped the navigational mindset of humanity from its earliest voyages. For the ocean's creatures, meanwhile, that same expanse serves as the chart for some of Earth's most punishing and breathtaking migrations. The humpback whale stands at the forefront of that sweeping odyssey. Each year, these animals cover a distance of up to 25,000 kilometers. No other mammal on the planet matches that figure. Their pathway is a route inscribed into their genetic code across millions of years. Departure begins from the colossal feeding grounds anchored at both polar extremes. In the southern hemisphere, pods assemble in the icy Antarctic seas, where nutrient-laden currents sustain billions of tons of krill. In the northern hemisphere, populations set out from Alaskan waters, the Gulf of Maine, and the deep fjords of Norway. The passage stretches across 2 to 3 demanding months over open sea, maintaining an average pace of 8 kilometers per hour. North Pacific groups trace the western coast of North America or strike out across open water toward the Hawaiian Islands. In the south, they cling to the shorelines of South America, Africa, and Australia, riding the coastal currents. For the entire crossing, the humpback whale eats almost nothing. Its survival rests on a blubber layer as thick as 15 centimeters, built up well in advance. Their destination is the calm tropical nurseries, where water temperatures settle at an ideal 22 to 25 degrees Celsius. These are the warm basins where calves can enter the world and grow safely, sheltered from chilling currents and hunters. In New Zealand, the Maori see whales as spiritual emissaries, linking the living to their forebears. Among Hawaiians, the whale is Kohola, the sacred stand-in for the sea god Kanaloa. And in Vietnam, veneration of the fish lord has grown into cultural heritage, with the whale honored as a guardian spirit watching over fishermen caught in rough seas. Until 1986, commercial whaling had eliminated 95% of the worldwide humpback whale population. Since that year's moratorium on commercial whaling, however, numbers have climbed dramatically, now topping 80,000 individuals. In the effort to understand and safeguard them, researchers are running experiments that feel drawn from science fiction. In 2023, the SETI Institute carried out a landmark 20-minute exchange with a whale known as Twain by broadcasting a specific contact call. Twain's rhythmic reply has raised hopes of eventually decoding what may be the most intricate acoustic system on Earth. Yet the humpback whale's grand voyage rarely unfolds without conflict. The orca ranks as the largest member of the oceanic dolphin family. Adult males can stretch up to 8 meters and tip the scales at roughly 6 tons. Even so, those numbers look modest beside a humpback whale reaching 16 meters and 30 tons. Because of that gap, orcas usually focus their efforts on vulnerable calves. A pod of 3 to 7 will coordinate to draw the humpback mother away from her calf. Once the young whale is exposed, the pod uses tight teamwork to wear it down in a drawn-out survival challenge. The encounter can last hours, where the calf's raw strength falls short against the pod's remarkable collective intelligence, the true authority of the sea's rulers. That same superior intellect lets orcas form unusual and intricate bonds with human beings. At Twofold Bay in Australia, during the early 1900s, a male orca called Old Tom guided his pod into a working partnership with local whalers. Old Tom would strike the water with his tail to flag passing whales, nudging them toward the bay where crews could set their harpoons. In return, the pod received the whale's tongue, a one-of-a-kind cooperative arrangement remembered as the law of the tongue. This coexistence, however, has not always remained cordial. Between 2020 and 2024, the Strait of Gibraltar recorded repeated incidents of orca pods striking and sinking sailboats. Researchers suggest the behavior may be a response to earlier painful run-ins with boat propellers. Although powerful enough to take down even a great white shark, the orca now faces an opponent its jaws cannot reach. Marine pollution. Chemical residues such as PCBs build up in their blubber, eroding immune defenses and driving widespread reproductive failure. Underwater noise from oil exploration has also disrupted their echolocation, crippling their most vital sense. Even so, the orca remains a showcase for the heights of animal culture. Alongside humans, they are the only species known to carry distinct regional dialects and to transfer specialized hunting techniques to their young. Each orca clan is a close matriarchal community in which senior females hold decades of survival knowledge. Their savage kingdom rests not on teeth and claws, but on lineage, memory, and shared wisdom. Yet, even after eluding the clever orca packs, another silent presence waits among the tropical swells. They do not go head-to-head with thriving giants the way orcas do. Instead, they fill the role of the ecosystem's uncompromising custodians. Patrolling the edges of breeding grounds, they focus on wandering calves or aging, weakened whales. A great white shark will follow a drifting whale carcass for miles, showing remarkable patience. A single 30-kilogram helping of blubber is simply too valuable to pass up. An energy-dense meal of that kind, requiring no pursuit, can sustain their demanding metabolism for roughly 2 months. Between the great white shark and the orca, which stands as the ocean's ultimate predator? Share your pick in the comments below. Nevertheless, amid the constant chases from sharks and orcas, the humpback whale's migration carries moments of genuine relief. The bottlenose dolphin eases the psychological strain on whales during the many-month passage. In exchange, the 40-ton giants are willing to lend their enormous frames as living shields, guarding the dolphins from cold-blooded hunters. In Greek myth, dolphins served as messengers for the sea god Poseidon and as the living form of the radiant god Apollo. To mariners, their arrival beside a ship was taken as a fortunate omen, a sign of a safe journey ahead. Among Australian Aboriginal peoples, dolphins are regarded as kin from an earlier life. They are spirits that chose the ocean as their dwelling but still keep an eye on humanity. This conviction gains weight once we examine their brain structure. The bottlenose dolphin shows an encephalization quotient of 5.3. Second on Earth, trailing only humans. They can recognize their own reflection and address one another through signature whistles that function as individual names. Their higher cognition allows them to employ tools for everyday survival. In Shark Bay, Australia, bottlenose dolphins have taught themselves to slip sea sponges over their snouts for protection while foraging along jagged seabeds. Their echolocation is precise enough to tell apart a steel ball and a copper ball from 100 meters away. On dives deeper than 250 meters, they can drop their heart rate to 12 beats per minute to preserve oxygen. An intelligent companion who consistently brings a lift of mood is a rare comfort across the humpback whale's journey. They stand as a reminder that the ocean, for all its harshness, holds warmth and tenderness on its own terms. That tenderness also emerges in the emotional pilgrimage of the green sea turtle. The species name traces not to the shell's color, but to a greenish fat layer that develops from an unwavering plant-based diet, a trait unique among sea turtles. They carry a prehistoric body plan with a solid shell built from fused ribs and spine. An adult can weigh up to 190 kilograms and stretch past 1.2 meters in shell length. The green sea turtle slices through the surf using front flippers that operate like strong oars. They can hold a steady pace of 2 to 3 kilometers per hour. A magnetic sensing system wired into their brain reads the strength and tilt of Earth's magnetic field to form an exceptionally precise internal chart. Every one of these evolutionary traits serves a single goal: returning to the place of origin. The green sea turtle's voyage stands among the ocean's most punishing wonders. They can travel as far as 2,600 kilometers between feeding zones and nesting beaches. Turtles tied to Ascension Island must traverse the full width of the Atlantic to reach the precise patch of sand where they hatched, 20 to 30 years after leaving it. Ancient Hawaiians referred to them as Honu, the being said to have guided the first Polynesian voyagers across thousands of miles of ocean to the Hawaiian archipelago. This ancient envoy now faces a biological emergency known as a widespread gender imbalance. A silent sex crisis is unfolding through temperature-dependent sex determination. When incubating sand nests hold temperatures above 29.1 degrees Celsius, the eggs develop as females. At the hottest nesting beaches, the female share has climbed to 99.1%, a direct threat to the species' capacity to reproduce. Climate change is tipping a biological balance that nature had kept steady for the last 110 million years. And yet the green sea turtle continues in its irreplaceable role as an ecosystem engineer. Capable of holding its breath underwater for up to 5 hours and slowing its heart to just a handful of beats per minute, they tirelessly graze the seagrass meadows, lifting productivity and nutrient levels in habitats that shelter thousands of other species. The green sea turtle's several thousand-mile route, however, must cross the natural checkpoints patrolled by the tiger shark. An adult tiger shark can reach 3 to 5 meters and surpass 600 kilograms. Nicknamed the garbage can of the ocean, it carries one of the most versatile digestive and hunting toolkits on the planet. Unlike the spear-shaped dentition of the great white, tiger shark teeth resemble short saws, thick, curved, and exceptionally sturdy. Tiger sharks hunt with deliberate, opportunistic calculation. They tend to cruise along the busiest migration corridors. During nesting season in particular, they cluster in shallow waters near the beaches, turning coastal flats into intense survival arenas. A precise strike along the rim of the shell lets the shark bypass the turtle's defenses, reflecting the unbroken exchange of energy across the reef. That sweeping power has turned the tiger shark into a figure of destruction and command across Pacific Island traditions. In the Kiribati Islands, old-time warriors refashioned that menace into a weapon of legend. They produced swords and long staffs known as tetoa, lined with rows of sharp tiger shark teeth embedded in hardwood. Research has confirmed that tiger sharks possess a sensory apparatus so refined they can pick up one drop of blood dispersed in 100 liters of seawater. Even prey vibrations arriving from miles away cannot slip past that network. What makes their behavior stand out is the lone nature of their travel and their tolerance for unforgiving conditions. They can descend to 850 meters and cover over 3,000 kilometers annually in search of food. Their stomachs carry an acid strength capable of breaking down nearly any organic matter, giving them a central role in keeping reef systems clear of waste. Yet even faced with an apex predator such as the tiger shark, the green sea turtle refuses to play the part of easy prey. On spotting the predator's outline, the turtle swings its body sideways, angling the thickest portion of its shell toward the jaws. Should the shark move in, the turtle spins rapidly, forcing the serrated teeth to slide off the smooth carapace. Green sea turtles often draw sharks into jagged coral formations or tight stone gaps. In those confines, the tiger shark's bulk becomes a liability. The clash between tiger shark and green sea turtle is a study in perfectly matched opposites. On one side sits a peak offensive toolkit, on the other a defensive craft rooted in toughness and intelligence. It is also the most dramatic closing act in every impressive migration loop the green sea turtle completes. Which migration captures you more, the green sea turtles or the humpback whales? Share your answer in the comments below. It is not only the open sea, rivers too carry out routes of seemingly impossible expeditions. There, life is forced into direct contest with gravity and current. Among the most stubborn fighters of the waterways, none stands out like the sockeye salmon. Their existence begins with a downstream push from freshwater lakes out into the expansive Pacific. During the smoltification phase, their bodies go through a biological overhaul that retools their osmoregulation. From young hatched in fresh water, they emerge as hardened travelers of the open ocean. After 2 to 3 years of gathering energy at sea, sockeye salmon fill out substantially, climbing to weights of 2 to 5 kilograms. At that stage, the pull of home begins to stir within them. They set off on a grand upstream voyage, covering as much as 1,600 kilometers to reach the exact stream where they hatched. Their olfactory and magnetic navigation systems are accurate enough to pinpoint the natal river with almost no margin of error. Across that journey, the sockeye abstains from food entirely, burning 80% of stored reserves as their bodies shift from silver to blazing red. For close to a century, though, these biological highways were sealed off by towering concrete barriers. The year 2024 brought a milestone in conservation as the project to dismantle 4 major dams along the Klamath River reached completion. It stands as the largest river restoration ever undertaken in U.S. history, reopening more than 600 kilometers of waterway blocked for the past 100 years. The moment gives new hope to the recovery of sockeye and chinook stocks, letting them reach ancestral headwaters for the first time in generations. For indigenous nations such as the Haida, Tlingit, and Coast Salish, the salmon's return carries the weight of a divine revelation. They honor salmon as immortal gods, beings who choose to give themselves up to feed humanity. The first salmon ceremony is held with great solemnity to welcome the first catch, like a king returning to his seat. Its bones are placed back in the river, in the belief that the salmon spirit will travel to the sea and tell its kin about the tribe's welcome. Modern research has confirmed the substance behind that belief. Salmon sustain the entire ecosystem like a pulse. Once they spawn and perish, the remains release enormous quantities of ocean-derived nitrogen and phosphorus into old-growth forests. Trees along salmon-bearing rivers grow at roughly 3 times the usual rate. And so the sockeye salmon delivers nutrients from the distant open sea into the oldest forests on land. One radiant death sparks millions of fresh beginnings. Before sockeye warriors can reach the clean fresh water of the headwaters, they must first run the estuaries. There, the boundary between sea and river narrows into a brutal choke point. At that point, the harbor seal steps in to carry out the first culling of the plumpest pilgrims. They are experts at managing oxygen. Their muscle myoglobin concentration runs 10 times higher than that of humans. Because of that reserve, they can plunge to 500 meters and hold their breath for 30 minutes. Harbor seals use extraordinarily sensitive whiskers to pick up the hydrodynamic ripples cast off by salmon tails. Each whisker registers the slightest pressure shift, allowing them to track prey with accuracy even in total darkness. They often rest motionless on the bottom, then launch a sudden snap as a school of salmon passes overhead. At the height of the migration, harbor seals can eat an amount of salmon equal to 5 to 6% of their body weight each day. This predator displays very high sight fidelity, returning year after year to the same rock or sandbar to rest. Unlike the boisterous sea lions, harbor seals keep to themselves and are easily disturbed by activity around them. When resting ashore, they adopt the banana pose, arching head and tail up to stay dry and manage body heat. Harbor seals serve as the strict gatekeepers of the river, shaping the migrants' fortunes right at the starting line. Their screening is unsparing, ensuring that only the fittest and most alert salmon are left to continue their upstream saga. Even when sockeye salmon slip past the harbor seal, danger continues to gather. At the vertical falls, where the flow surges hardest, grizzly bears are already in position. Weighing up to 400 kilograms in pure muscle, the grizzly is a biological engine built for extreme energy accumulation. Its sense of smell is roughly 7 times sharper than a bloodhound's, capable of tracing the scent of salmon from miles away. At choke points like Brooks Falls in Alaska, the grizzly combines brute strength with precise timing. Dominant males take up position right at the edge of the falls, where they simply open their jaws to catch salmon leaping from the water. This is the period of hyperphagia, a feeding frenzy designed to build a fat layer up to 15 centimeters thick ahead of a 5 to 7 month hibernation. A single grizzly bear can consume as many as 40 salmon daily, taking in more than 100,000 calories within just 24 hours. The Lakota and Haida regard bears as great brothers, holders of medicinal knowledge drawn from the green forest. Native healers traditionally watched bears dig for roots, and through that discovered useful herbs. They wore bear claws as sacred items to borrow the animal's healing strength. The Ute bear dance ritual is both a harbinger of spring and a celebration of the enduring life cycle in which the bear plays a central part. In the digital era, that reverence has spawned a distinctive cultural moment, Fat Bear Week. Held each October at Katmai National Park, this online vote draws millions of followers eager to crown the plumpest bear. Behind the playful images of round bellies lies a serious scientific yardstick. The fatter the bear, the richer the salmon run. A well-fed bear signals a thriving, healthy ecosystem. The most striking grizzly behavior is a talent for high-precision nutrient filtering. When salmon run thick, they consume only the richest portions: brain, skin, and eggs, leaving the rest for scavengers. In doing so, they inadvertently carry nitrogen nutrients deep into old-growth forest through their droppings and leftover fish scraps. As the grizzlies' feast begins to wind down, a cleanup crew from the skies comes in for a landing. The bald eagle carries one of the most advanced visual systems in the animal kingdom. Their eyes offer a resolution 4 times greater than ours, letting them pick out a salmon carcass from hundreds of meters up. Once millions of salmon complete their spawning and expire, the river turns into a vast protein storehouse. Along stretches like the Chilkat River Valley in Alaska, over 3,000 bald eagles can gather across only a few miles of shoreline. They arrive to claim their share of the carrion banquet. At times, they turn kleptoparasite, swooping in to snatch salmon from the talons of gulls or even young bears. North American indigenous peoples revered them as envoys of the sky, the only beings able to climb high enough to carry human prayers to the Creator. Ironically, the proud likeness on the U.S. Great Seal was once sharply contested by Benjamin Franklin when floated as a national symbol. He held that the bird had bad moral character, citing its scavenging tendencies and the way it seized catches from other fishing birds. But the story of the bald eagle is truly a song of rebirth out of the ashes of industrial civilization. Across the 1950s and 1960s, the pesticide DDT thinned their eggshells and pushed the species toward extinction, leaving only 417 breeding pairs. The most remarkable trait of this bird is its strict loyalty to a monogamous-for-life bond. Together, mated pairs build enormous nests, some weighing up to 1 ton and measuring 10 feet, 3 meters across, reinforced over decades of continuous use. The population has rebounded, yet the species now faces a fresh threat from tiny lead bullet fragments left behind in deer carcasses. A shard the size of a grain of rice is enough to wreck the digestive system, posing a deadly risk to these lords of the sky. If you had to become a salmon hunter, which would you choose? Grizzly bear, harbor seal, or bald eagle? Far from the river mouths where eagles patrol the salmon run, Another ocean-going predator has quietly mastered fresh water. Most shark species would succumb to salt loss and cellular damage the moment they entered fresh water. The bull shark, however, can reabsorb salt into its bloodstream and modulate urea concentrations through a specialized rectal gland, preserving its internal balance. That superpower lets them push deep into major river systems such as the Amazon, Mississippi, and Zambezi, traveling as much as 4,000 kilometers inland. Bull sharks seek out cloudy, calm waters in which to give birth. They turn the river into a secure nursery, a realm where great white sharks and orcas can never follow. Much like the tiger shark, the bull shark will eat nearly anything. They wait in the silty current before moving in, overpowering prey with a bite force of up to 1,300 pounds per square inch. Within Sydney Harbour, work to clean the river water unintentionally drew this species closer to populated shores. Meanwhile, in Recife, Brazil, urban expansion and port construction erased nearby coral reefs. The change unintentionally pushed highly territorial bull sharks toward tourist beaches. The species carries the highest testosterone concentrations measured in the animal world, producing aggressive and unpredictable outbursts. The bull shark stands as a showcase of nature's striking adaptability. Its reach into freshwater systems serves as a reminder of the complex, often invisible boundaries where wild ecosystems brush up against human settlements. Still, the bull shark's presence is just one small shadow within the larger portrait of river authority. The ocean's ambassador, once it seeks out fresh water, must ultimately give way to the hippopotamus. Male hippos carry extraordinarily elevated testosterone levels. They are prepared to drive off any challenger who dares trespass on their territory. With a single snap of its massive tusks, the hippo can unleash enough force to repel a bull shark with ease, confirming its rank as the river's supreme ruler. In Egyptian mythology, the female hippo was cast as the goddess Taweret, the deity of childbirth, marked by an unmistakable pregnant belly. For all her fierce look, Taweret represented absolute protection for mothers and children, mirroring the way a hippo cow shields her calf from attackers. The male hippo, by contrast, was linked to Seth, god of chaos, storms, and uncontainable ruin. The ancient Egyptians recognized that beneath the animal's lazy exterior simmered a fury capable of capsizing boats and rearranging the flow of an entire river bend. Under that glossy skin lies a mass of solid muscle weighing as much as 3 tons. Their heavy frame causes them to sink, yet the river's drag cannot slow their underwater dashes along the bottom, clocking 8 kilometers per hour. To guard their sensitive skin from the equatorial sun, a hippo's body secretes a reddish fluid often called blood sweat. This peculiar chemical blend acts as a natural sunscreen and a potent antibiotic that helps wounds heal. A hippo can remain submerged for 5 minutes while lying in ambush for prey or rivals, its heart rate dropping to just a handful of beats per minute. In the wild stretches of river, few animals pursue aquatic warfare with more fearsome effectiveness. Migration, however, does not halt at the water's edge. It quietly plays out each day at the ends of the Earth. Antarctica ranks as the coldest, driest, and windiest continent on the planet. A frozen stage of 14 million square kilometers blanketed by an ice sheet averaging 1.9 kilometers thick. Record lows can reach minus 89.2 degrees Celsius, turning every breath of moisture into razor-edged crystals. Katabatic winds can roar to 320 kilometers per hour, sufficient to erase any living thing lacking true resilience. For all its harshness, it remains the finish line for some of the natural world's most extraordinary migrations. The emperor penguin is the tallest and heaviest penguin species, standing around 1.2 meters and weighing up to 45 kilograms. When the Antarctic winter sets in and sea ice spreads, most wildlife hurries out to the open ocean in search of warmth. Yet this penguin undertakes a demanding trek of 50 to 120 kilometers into the frozen interior. The purpose of that counterintuitive migration is to find stable ice platforms on which to raise the next generation. There, the birds endure temperatures of minus 60 degrees Celsius and battering wind gusts. That is the price they pay to avoid underwater hunters. The densest plumage found among birds and a subcutaneous fat layer making up 25% of their body weight help them hold heat with astonishing efficiency. To conserve warmth, thousands of males press together in tight formation, rotating from the outside in to share body heat evenly. Through this arrangement, temperatures within the huddle can hold at 37 degrees Celsius, even while the surroundings freeze. Across the 4 months of incubation, the male eats nothing, burning up to 50% of his body mass to protect the single spark of life resting on his feet. Yet the resilience built over millions of years is being broken apart by severe climate change. In late 2022 and early 2023, premature ice melt in the Bellingshausen Sea caused more than 10,000 penguin chicks to perish before they had grown waterproof feathers. Satellite surveys later revealed that 4 of the 5 breeding colonies in that region produced no surviving offspring at all. The loss of downy chicks beneath cold waters speaks to life's fragility in the face of extreme shifts. Their migration remains an epic of devotion, but also a mournful anthem for a world that continues to melt. Breeding, however, is only the start of the survival story. When chicks first head for open water, or when mothers dive in to forage, a quiet assassin waits along the ice edge, the leopard seal. Stretching up to 3.5 meters and topping 500 kilograms, the leopard seal is a streamlined wall of muscle engineered for speed. It is the one seal species that carries the traits of both an active hunter and a filter feeder. Sharp incisors and canines tear flesh, while its molars boast a complex serrated profile that can sieve krill when required. The leopard seal often lingers just beneath the ice edge, where penguin groups are forced to leap into the water in search of food. As a penguin enters the water, the leopard seal surges to speeds of up to 40 kilometers per hour, rocketing forward like an arrow through the surface. The seal's strong jaws secure the catch, using measured motions to work past the penguin's protective feathers. This natural cycle gives the predator the calories it needs to endure the brutal Antarctic environment. Leopard seals live as solitary wanderers. They can cover more than 2,000 kilometers in a single season while tracking penguin colonies. Sharp eyesight combined with a whisker system tuned to vibrations lets them locate targets even in the dim twilight of polar winter. Shrinking sea ice, however, is now placing the leopard seal's hunting grounds under serious threat. Traditional territories are vanishing, pushing them to migrate farther north in search of replacement food sources. The natural regulator of penguin and smaller seal populations is slipping from its old domain. Behind Antarctica's pristine face, the fiercest fights for survival continue to rage. While the leopard seal rules the cold depths, the Antarctic sky is the province of the southern giant petrel. Known as the vulture of the polar seas, this bird has an imposing build and a wingspan reaching 2.1 meters. Its hooked beak is not only a butcher's tool, it also contains salt glands that filter excess salt after long flights over salty seas. As penguin chicks begin to grow, they group into large creches to share warmth and defend one another. The southern giant petrel drifts around these nurseries like a silent watcher, patiently seeking the ones left behind. With its strong bill, it concentrates on the weakest chicks, carrying out the essential role of nature's sanitation crew to keep the colony's overall strength and health intact. At South Georgia Island, penguin meat makes up to 40% of their diet during the breeding season. They act as biological sweepers, removing diseased individuals and keeping the genetic health of the entire penguin population stable. Even as the giant petrel settles on ice floes, another tiny bird is beginning the sky's most miraculous migration. The Arctic tern, the traveler that spends its entire life pursuing endless daylight. Tipping the scales at barely 100 grams, This bird is the undisputed champion of epic journeys on Earth. Its body is a masterclass in aerodynamics, long, narrow wings and a deeply forked tail cut drag to the absolute minimum. Thanks to that design, these animals cover more than 70,000 kilometers every year. Over a 30-year lifespan, a single Arctic tern can log a total distance equal to 3 round trips to the moon. Its route threads the two poles, from breeding grounds in the high Arctic to nutrient-rich waters around Antarctica, sidestepping winter entirely. They sweep a vast S-curve over the Atlantic to take advantage of prevailing wind belts and ocean currents. That pattern makes them the creature that experiences more daylight than any other species on the planet. The Inuit regard the Arctic tern as nature's most dependable biological timepiece. When its sharp calls ring out along the cliffs, it is a sacred sign that spring has truly arrived. They see this bird as a guiding spirit, ferrying light from one end of the world to the other to warm their land. In 2023, however, the long route of these messengers of light encountered a severe environmental setback. Natural biological threats struck seabird populations worldwide, driving sharp declines in some regions and pushing conservation teams to close off tourist islands to curb human-assisted spread. Alongside their endurance, Arctic terns show extremely aggressive nest defense behavior. Small as they are, they will dive straight at the heads of far larger intruders like bears or humans to guard their eggs. The Arctic tern is the red thread joining Earth's two poles, a living proof of the boundless power of the will to endure. As long as their wing beats continue to ripple across the ocean, the light of hope will keep passing from one continent to the next. As the Arctic tern's wing beats touch Earth to begin the breeding season, the Arctic fox is already lying in wait. They are masters of adaptation, carrying a genome engineered to endure some of the planet's harshest conditions. Their coat is the thickest in the dog family, with underfur making up 70% of it, keeping body warmth steady even as outside temperatures plunge to minus 50 degrees Celsius. A countercurrent heat exchange system running through their limbs ensures their feet never freeze on the snow surface. Across the seabird breeding season, the Arctic fox becomes a skilled egg thief, relying on remarkable patience and cunning. They prowl around Arctic tern colonies, where thousands of nutrient-rich eggs are laid directly on bare ground or in rocky clefts. A keen nose allows them to pinpoint targets buried beneath deep snow, and swift raids follow at once to carry off eggs or snatch chicks. Rather than eating its finds right away, the Arctic fox often practices caching in preparation for the unforgiving winter. A single fox can collect dozens of eggs in one day, tucking them deep into the permafrost. It functions as a natural refrigerator, keeping food fresh for months on end. A tiny animal, yet one that carries the cleverness and grit of a much larger survivor across the frozen polar wastes. While the Arctic tern tries to dodge the fox's claws on the ground, another menace appears from above. the Arctic skua, nicknamed the pirate of the Arctic sky. Rather than diving for their own fish, they rely on flight speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour to ambush Arctic terns in midair. Under the pressure of aerial collisions, the Arctic tern is forced to drop its fresh catch simply to regain balance. They obtain as much as 95% of their protein during breeding season through these acts of airborne piracy. This is a textbook example of ecological niche differentiation, in which a species chooses to invest effort in pursuit rather than in active hunting. The Arctic skua embodies nature's unsparing adaptability. Here, strength and cunning can sometimes yield a greater payoff than diligence alone. Caught up in tracing Africa's coastline on its way back to the poles, the Arctic tern unwittingly overlooked a grand survival drama inland, a land of vivid and merciless contrasts, where the equatorial sun gives life yet scorches every drop of water. At the heart of these dry basins, salt pans stretch across thousands of square miles like mirrors reflecting sheer severity. Saline lakes such as Natron can register a pH of 10.5, a caustic setting that is deeply hostile to most living things. Ground temperatures in the dry season routinely exceed 50 degrees Celsius, turning the air into shimmering heat. Even so, the African savanna remains the stage for one of the planet's largest survival races. Burchell's zebra heads up that race. Within the ungulate world, this species holds an epic distinction: the longest straight-line migration recorded in Africa, a round trip of more than 1,000 kilometers linking the Okavango Delta and the Magadigadi salt pans. Why leave the lush green pastures for a barren desert? The answer sits in the mineral hunger felt by pregnant or nursing mothers. Although the northern plains stay green, the vegetation there remains low in phosphorus and calcium concentrations. Zebras kick off their migration at an average pace of around 20 kilometers per day to reach the salt basins. At Magadigadi, sparse rainfall triggers the growth of saltgrass, whose mineral content far surpasses that of ordinary grasses. It is the essential nutrient stock for shaping strong skeletal frames in foals and enriching milk quality for mares. Their movement is a feat of navigation and collective memory. Drawing on sharp olfactory receptors, Zebras can detect humidity on the wind from dozens of miles away. Their digestive system is equipped to process the toughest, driest grasses through hindgut fermentation. The mechanism lets them consume large volumes of low-nutrient forage while compensating with quick processing speed. Beyond raw stamina, their black and white coats work as a motion dazzle barcode. As thousands run in formation across the shimmering salt pans, the interlocked stripes produce a visual puzzle. That effect scrambles the depth perception and targeting ability of hunters like lions or leopards, making it hard to lock onto a single animal. That is how they endure in a land few migratory species dare to cross. Yet on the unforgiving route to the salt pans, zebras do not move alone. When thirst begins to consume their hope, they must rely on a gigantic ally. Weighing in at up to 6 tons, the African bush elephant is the largest land animal on the planet. Its power sits not only in muscle, but in a trunk containing more than 40,000 flexible muscle bundles. Moreover, elephants hold extraordinary spatial memory, letting them relocate underground water sources forgotten for decades. When rivers are reduced to sun-bleached strips of sand, elephants use their pillar-like legs and powerful trunks to excavate deep holes in the earth. They can pick up subterranean moisture thanks to vibration receptors in their feet and trunks. Once the matriarch and her family have drunk their fill, as much as 200 liters each per day, they move on. Only then do the zebras come in to use whatever water remains in the deep holes the elephants have dug. Without the indirect assistance of these giants, zebras would struggle to cover 500 kilometers of desert without collapsing from dehydration. Elephants also possess an infrasound communication system alongside their water-finding talent. Low-frequency sounds below 20 Hz can carry through the ground for up to 10 kilometers. That reach helps herds stay in contact and coordinate movements smoothly between distant oases. The shadow of the giants also serves as a shield, protecting zebras from glowing eyes deep in the night. For when dusk fades over the Kalahari Desert, a different and brutal hunting order begins to rise: the spotted hyena. Far from the cowardly scavenger of popular prejudice, this is a hunter with one of the highest success rates on the African savanna. They can keep a pace of 60 kilometers per hour across 5 kilometers without tiring. The hyena's heart is oversized, making up 1% of its body weight, pushing oxygen fast enough to sustain long endurance chases. For that reason, shadowing elephant herds serves zebras as both a route to water and a way to borrow the authority of the giant gods. Hyenas, fierce as they are, tend to proceed cautiously and avoid areas occupied by adult elephants. Spotted hyenas operate within a rigid matriarchal social order where females outsize males and carry higher androgen levels. Every member of the clan follows the lead of a commanding alpha female, forming a disciplined hunting network. They communicate through more than 10 distinct calls, including the famous laugh. That vocalization is in fact an alarm signal signaling stress or food competition. The spotted hyena acts as nature's unsparing filter, taking out weak animals to keep the migrants' bloodlines strong. They hold the harsh balance between life and death on the salt pans. As the hyena's shadow retreats into the dark, the mounds on the Makadikgadi salt pans begin to stir for the new dawn, and on those mounds, the meerkat takes up its role as a tireless sentinel. The dark circles around their eyes operate as built-in anti-glare sunglasses, letting them stare straight into the sky to scan for danger. They carry an exceptionally detailed warning vocabulary of more than 30 distinct calls. They can accurately sort ground threats, such as wild dogs, from aerial threats, such as the martial eagle. Once a meerkat sounds the alarm, that particular call frequency instantly engages the zebra herd's self-defense response. With their sharp hearing, zebras swiftly close into a defensive group or withdraw. In return, zebras can scatter smaller predators or stir the soil to expose insects for the meerkats. A meerkat's strength also rests on total unity within clans that can number up to 50 individuals. Each one stands ready to forego foraging to serve as a sentry, ensuring the entire community's safety. Their stomachs cannot store fat, forcing constant hunting to fuel a breakneck metabolism. Even more remarkably, meerkats can shrug off many types of scorpion and snake venoms thanks to mutations in their nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. The unseen coordination between zebras and meerkats showcases the wisdom of the Makadikgadi ecosystem. A place where a minute creature can become the eyes for giants, and life finds protection through the most unexpected partnerships. Yet not every animal requires partners to endure. Rather than trailing elephants for water in the zebra's fashion, the gemsbok has been shaped into a permanent occupant of the arid lands. To outlast days when ground temperatures climb past 50 degrees Celsius, they depend on a blood vessel network called the carotid rete. Hot blood arriving from the body is cooled by air in the nasal cavity before entering the brain. This allows their core temperature to reach 45 degrees Celsius without inflicting neurological harm. They can last for weeks, and at times months, without taking a single sip of water. They extract moisture from tubers, roots, and wild melons buried deep beneath the desert sand. They possess the ability to concentrate urine to the maximum and draw every bit of moisture back from their feces to block water loss through excretion. When humidity climbs at night, desert plants take on moisture. The gemsbok selects this window to graze, harvesting that precious extra water. The gemsbok's presence sounds like a deep bass note, underscoring the cost of freedom in a setting without mercy. Here, the winner is not the swiftest runner, but the one that turns scarcity into an absolute survival edge. As the southern salt pans fall into quiet, another enormous pulse begins to shake the Serengeti. The Great Migration, an unending survival cycle stretched across 30,000 square kilometers between Tanzania and Kenya. Leading the Serengeti's vast pulse is the wildebeest. Despite their somewhat awkward frame, wildebeest are true endurance athletes capable of holding 80 kilometers per hour. With an overwhelming force of 1.5 million individuals, they form a single biological organism, a massive pulse of life flowing across the savanna. Their 800-kilometer circular odyssey is a search for phosphorus and nitrogen concentrations. By consuming over 5,000 tons of grass each day, they keep shrub encroachment in check and stimulate the rise of nitrogen-rich new pastures. Their digestive tracts function as rolling fertilizer plants, spreading millions of tons of organic nutrients back across the soil. The wildebeest's migratory pattern leans on a distinctive ability: storm sensors. They can detect infrasound from thunder and the scent of rain moisture from more than 50 kilometers away. Each animal relies on collective intelligence to make decisions capable of overcoming harsh obstacles. During the birthing season, a remarkable biological phenomenon takes place. More than 500,000 calves arrive within just 2 to 3 weeks. This synchronized birthing strategy helps maximize the survival rate in the face of surrounding predators. A wildebeest calf can stand solidly and keep pace with the herd only 7 minutes after being born. That ranks among the fastest developmental rates anywhere in the animal kingdom. The wildebeest tide likewise sustains a food chain for thousands of other species, from lions and leopards to the vultures that circle overhead. Even when they fall in the Mara River, their remains feed the aquatic ecosystem with vast protein for months afterward. Through their migration, they keep the breath of the savanna from ever going still. Marching alongside the wildebeest are more than 200,000 plain zebras. They serve as the vanguard of the Serengeti expedition. They possess a rugged build with a single hoof configuration and extremely strong incisors for handling the coarsest forage. Unlike ruminants, zebras belong to the Hingut fermenter group, They can break down food 30% faster than antelopes. They take in large quantities of low-quality grass and extract energy from it at high speed. In the symphony of the Great Migration, zebras play the role of pioneer lawn mowers, opening the way for the entire system that trails behind them. They travel days, sometimes weeks, ahead of the wildebeest herd. Their job is to work through the top layer of tall grasses, old, fibrous, and heavy with roughage. By stripping off that tough outer layer, zebras reveal the young, soft stems and leaves beneath, rich in protein and minerals. The zebra's visual system is also a major asset to the safety of the entire migratory army. With eyes set on the sides of the head, they enjoy a nearly 360-degree field of view, highly tuned to spotting unusual movement in the brush. They are the most effective early warning system in the herd. The lion ranks among the most dangerous of those threats. It is the only member of the cat family to maintain a complex social life built around hunting large prey. A mature male lion can weigh up to 250 kilograms. Its robust skeletal frame and muscle mass make up 60% of its body weight. When 1.5 million wildebeest flood their territory, lions shift into an extreme energy harvesting mode to feed their cubs. Lion hunting success surges from 15% to over 30% during the peak of the migration. Lionesses with lean bodies and explosive speeds of 80 kilometers per hour take on the role of chasing and driving prey into ambush pockets. Adult males, powered by brute strength, move in for the final step, drawing on their sheer weight to subdue prey quickly and bring the encounter to a decisive close. By focusing on old, sick, or slow animals, they carry out a strict natural selection. The process keeps disease from spreading through a crowd of millions and ensures that only the healthiest genes pass to the next generation. Climate change, however, is nudging the timing of the migration, squeezing lion survival as food sources grow unpredictable. Lion numbers have fallen by 43% over the past 2 decades, leaving their role in ecosystem control more fragile than ever. Yet the greatest test the migrants face lies beneath the muddy waters of the Mara River. One of the world's largest and most fearsome reptiles, a predator that has persisted nearly unchanged for the last 65 million years. Stretching up to 5 meters and exceeding 700 kilograms, they are ambush hunting machines in their purest form. Their armored hide carries pressure receptors capable of picking up the faintest vibrations from prey moving through the water. The Nile crocodile is a master of patience. It can remain submerged for up to 2 hours while waiting for prey. It can go a full year without a meal, yet take in food equal to half its body weight in just a few migration days. The weakest or slowest migrants tend to be targeted in the water, where the crocodile falls back on its signature rotational technique. That powerful maneuver allows the predator to efficiently process a catch, using the torque of its entire body to its advantage. Nile crocodiles are the imposing gatekeepers of the blue corridors flowing through the savanna. Their presence turns every river crossing into a purification rite, in which only the strongest and most fortunate earn the right to step onto the far bank. Once the harsh culling by crocodiles and lions ends, the remnants of life are not left to waste beneath the blazing sun. The white-backed vulture, the Serengeti's diligent sanitation crew. They boast a wingspan of up to 2.2 meters. It is the ideal build for riding thermal columns and gliding for hours with barely any energy spent. Their specialized traits help them stay clean while efficiently scavenging, ensuring that no essential nutrients are wasted in the savanna's life cycle. Remarkably, the white-backed vulture's stomach runs at an acidity of roughly pH 1, more aggressive than car battery acid. Their intensely acidic stomachs let them neutralize even the most dangerous pathogens and bacteria lurking in carcasses without harm. Within the Great Migration, vultures serve as biological waste processing centers, operating at peak capacity. Their presence prevents disease outbreaks from carrion spreading into water and air, safeguarding the health of the entire migratory herd. Greatness in a voyage is not measured only by thundering hooves or wingspans that blot out the sun. It is also the microscopic realm, where tiny creatures carry out migrations of astonishing tenacity. The monarch butterfly may be the most iconic face of those journeys. An animal weighing less than a gram, yet carrying the genetic blueprint of a transcontinental voyager. They hold a sophisticated navigation toolkit using a sun compass paired with a biological clock housed in their antennae, calibrating flight direction to the changing angle of sunlight. The monarch butterfly's migration is a procession of more than 4,800 kilometers from southern Canada and the US to the Oyamel fir forests perched on Mexican volcanoes. The greatest wonder is the arrival of a special generation, named by scientists the Methuselah generation. While ordinary butterfly generations live for only 2 to 6 weeks, Methuselah butterflies can last up to 8 months, 8 times the norm. By delaying reproductive diapause, they channel every reserve into building lipid stores for the transcontinental flight. Yet, even in the Oyamel forests, the calm of millions of butterfly wings offers no unbreakable shield. The monarch butterfly's body accumulates high concentrations of cardenolide glycosides, acquired from milkweed, is a deterrent that disrupts the heart function of many vertebrate predators. The black-headed grosbeak, however, tolerates cardenolides at levels hundreds of times higher than other birds of comparable size. Rather than eating the whole insect, they deftly use their specialized beaks to target the lipid-rich abdomen, carefully steering clear of the butterfly's most toxic parts. Leaving Oyamel behind, we arrive at a remote island adrift in the Indian Ocean. When the first rains of the wet season fall, a biological trigger fires at the same instant inside the bodies of over 50 million Christmas Island red crabs. The entire 135 square kilometer island appears blanketed by a moving red carpet. A cascading crustacean wave spilling over roads and cliffs. The sole aim of this expedition is the reproductive cycle. Males excavate burrows along the shore to mate. Females wait for the right tidal phase to release eggs. At high tide, under a waning moon, each female casts roughly 100,000 eggs into the sea, producing an enormous biological cloud just beneath the salty surface. After a month of development in the open ocean, crablets the size of match heads begin the return trip. They crawl from the waves back to the green forest to carry on the endless loop. The red crab migration is the breathing rhythm of an entire island ecosystem, cycling nutrients between forest and sea. That red carpet is a testament to the unquenchable drive to propagate a species, an epic written by claws and calcium shells across damp ground. The yellow crazy ant. When migrating crab columns pass through their territory, these ants spray concentrated formic acid onto the crab's most vulnerable points. The acid quickly overwhelms the crab's sensory systems, leaving them disoriented and unable to move. Supercolonies with densities of thousands of ants per square meter have driven the loss of more than 15 million crabs and thrown the island's ecological balance out of sync. The decline of this engineer crab species has set off a chain reaction crisis. Forest structure shifts. Seedlings are smothered by leaf litter that is no longer being cleared away. It is a stark reminder of how fragile isolated ecosystems can be when invasive species arrive. Beneath the deep blue water at the island's edge, the crab eggs just released from their mother's care suddenly become a banquet for the planet's largest fish, the whale shark. These animals can reach 12 meters in length and weigh more than 20 tons. Although classed as sharks, they hunt through a sophisticated filtering system that includes more than 20 filter pads inside an enormous oral cavity. They perform active suction feeding, expanding their mouths up to 1.5 meters wide to swallow thousands of liters of water per minute. The filter system traps protein-rich, fat-laden crab larvae while excess seawater flows out through the gill slits. The synchronization between the red crab's reproductive cycle and the whale shark's migratory path is a testament to the intimate link between land and ocean. Thanks to the abundant energy drawn from this sea of larvae, they can build up enough fat reserves to continue their transoceanic voyage spanning thousands of kilometers. We have journeyed through the most unsparing cross-sections of... Which animal in today's episode has changed the way you see the wild world? Was it or... Share your response in the comments. Your understanding is the greatest tribute these wild creatures can receive. Do not forget to like and subscribe to accompany us on future expeditions, where we will continue decoding the most mysterious survival codes in the natural world. And if you wish to discover more about other wild animals, continue with Win or Die, full episode. Chapter's deadliest battles for survival or lion attack. The Mapogo Battle for Survival. Cheetahs begin to achieve consistent competence and complete independence at 18 to 24 months of age. The gap between the first attempt and independence spans 9 to 12 months of repeated observation, repeated setbacks, and improvements every small step. Nine weeks of walking alone in the wilderness. This lioness's struggle is far more than a mere test of patience. It is a fierce race against time, where energy is the currency that determines survival. In her solitude, every hunting day is a gamble where the deck is stacked against her. Every missed strike means another day with an empty stomach, pulling her body deeper into a downward spiral of exhaustion. Subira is visibly losing weight. The energy spent nursing her cubs and walking weary miles has completely overwhelmed the meager protein she manages to secure. Her body is pushed to its absolute limit. The loss of her two cubs was no random misfortune. In an unforgiving natural world, it is the grim, predictable price for a solitary mother walking without a pride. The 15-kilometer journey back to Pride territory does not follow a straight line. Pace is set by 9-week-old cubs, strong enough to move, but not yet at adult lioness speed. To reduce the probability of an unexpected encounter. Under Subira's current conditions, cortisol elevated after prolonged stress, condition declining, cubs moving slowly. Reducing the probability of unexpected threats takes priority over travel speed. In the social structure of lions, fate has backed Musafiri and his younger brother into a corner. Just two brothers are not enough to form a powerhouse coalition, which means no territory and no opportunity to pass on their legacy. Their journey is short now, but Subira, is running on empty. And suddenly, a tantalizing scent catches her attention. The scent of prey. The aroma of a freshly prepared meal. The male cheetah coalition has just brought down a young wildebeest, a feat that no single cheetah could ever accomplish alone. Their combined weight reaches 300 kilograms of pure, prime muscle. After days of going hungry, the stress hormone cortisol in her body has spiked significantly, paralyzing the rational center of her brain. But the 5 cheetah brothers do not budge. The old law of the savannah only holds true for a mighty pride, not for an exhausted, solitary female. As Subira lunges in, something unprecedented in the history of this coalition occurs. They refuse to back down. A breathless clash erupts. A Subira in her prime would need just 3 seconds to realize those 300 kilograms of cheetahs are too risky a gamble and withdraw. But today, she has lost her clarity. Right in the nick of time, Kaylee emerges from the south in less than 2 minutes. He does not need to know what is unfolding, but the distressed roar of his pride female is a supreme command etched into the DNA of a king. Kaylee's black mane cresting the horizon is more than enough. The cheetah pack does not waste another second calculating. This is what a pride provides. A structure solid enough to lean on when a member cannot stand alone. That is exactly what Akili lacks, and that is what, in a day to come, will make all the difference. On the open savannah, a 2.5-year-old lioness is expanding her patrol toward the northeast. Like any other young member wanting to prove her worth to the pride, she steps alone into this buffer zone, where prey density is just right and the presence of rivals is sparse. A perfect test for a rookie learning to stand on her own. Suddenly, her nose catches an unfamiliar scent. It is the scent trail of a cheetah. But on the other side, Akili has already sensed the looming threat. A masterclass in distraction tactics. As the predator is forced to choose a target, Akili makes an entirely unexpected move. Akili knows she cannot win a head-to-head battle, but her sole objective is to stop her in her tracks. This audacity causes the lioness to pause for 0.5 seconds in sheer astonishment. Her target is the flank, not enough to cause lasting harm, but sufficient to freeze her rival in a decisive moment. Out in the open field, any attempt by the lioness to accelerate is completely futile. From 4 hidden vantage points, high-pitched chirps ring out. One by one, all 4 cubs are safe. Nothing in the natural world moves quite like a large buffalo herd, not as individuals, not step by step, but as a single dense black mass, a vast living entity, moving with a shared rhythm, a shared awareness, a survival instinct transmitted through every member. They need water, as every species does. But they approach the riverbank in a manner no other grazing species dares to replicate. Cape buffalo advance as though the river belongs to them. Despite weighing close to 1 ton and carrying lethal horns, the true strength of the buffalo is not the individual. Their true strength is numbers. And more fundamentally, the instinct to attack en masse. Most grazing species respond to danger by fleeing. This is a sound evolutionary strategy. Speed is the weapon of those without weapons. Buffalo respond by turning and charging directly toward the danger. This is why lions, the only predator in Africa capable of bringing down a mature buffalo, are also the prey species most likely to be killed by buffalo in return. When a lion attacks a buffalo, the herd assembles. This response is not a simple reflex. Research on buffalo behavior indicates they are capable of identifying specific individual lions through the scent profile and vocalization signature of each attacker. A lion that has previously attacked the herd triggers a stronger collective response than an unknown lion would. The herd remembers its enemies. The evolutionary arms race between these 2 species has continued for millions of years. The herd has memory, chemical memory, anchored to scent. The olfactory system of the buffalo can distinguish lion scent from several hundred meters, recognizing the distinctive signature of each predator species. In the dry season, scent molecules are not absorbed by moisture. They diffuse further, persist longer, and carry more clearly, transforming the entire dry riverbank into a precise olfactory map. The herd has lost members to the Nsefu lions, and that scent, the scent of the attacks, of fresh blood, of earth disturbed by the struggle, remains present in the dry air of the Luangwa. Buffalo do not merely remember their enemies, they seek them out. This is what ecologists term preemptive strike behavior, eliminating the next generation of predators while the opportunity exists. Each lion cub that does not survive today is 1 fewer lion to hunt this herd next year and the year after across many seasons to come. This is strategy, cold, precise, and effective. The behavior is not common. Most grazing species depart once a predator is no longer present. But buffalo have made a different decision. The scent leads them in a single direction, toward the riverbank scrub, toward the old warthog burrows where the scent of lion cubs is most concentrated in the dry air. To an observer, nothing appears unusual, simply a herd moving to drink. But above, in the old warthog burrows along the bank, the children were sleeping, unaware of what is approaching. The lioness is away hunting. This is the decision she must make every day in the dry season: leave the cubs to hunt for the entire pride, or remain and allow all of them to weaken gradually from lack of nourishment. There is no good option, only the less terrible one. She leaves the cubs in an old warthog burrow. Deep underground, dark and cool, the safest refuge available. For cubs too small to run and too young to defend themselves. Not like thunder, not like a roar, the kind of vibration that only the earth itself perceives, transmitted through the feet of every species in contact with the ground. Standing still, the impala's ears oriented toward what the eyes have not yet confirmed. The buffalo herd arrives, a sensation more than a sound. And then the darkness arrives. The warthog burrow has become a trap. But in the moment between life and its alternative, what the body would not ordinarily manage suddenly becomes the only option. As the herd begins to move away, one cub can barely maintain its hold. Fortunately, sustained by its mother's rich milk, the cub is robust enough to withstand the considerable fall. Their mother has returned. They need her scent to settle. She reads what happened before she arrives. Only two respond to her call, and the lioness must locate the others. There is no sound, no movement within the burrow. Only the scent of disturbed earth, and the scent of what cannot be changed. She digs, not from hope, but from maternal instinct. And then she does the unthinkable. The behavior appears brutal in observation, but it is calculated. The lioness's body is severely depleted. Pregnancy, nursing, and hunting under the harshest conditions of the year. Every kilogram of body mass she carries has been earned across long months of foraging in a brutal dry season. But more important than any other consideration, remains decomposing within the warthog burrow would attract the most dangerous enemies. The scent of lion cub would remain in their memory, and they would return, searching for that scent. She does not look back. The Nsifu pride carries this costly lesson forward into the days that follow. But the river does not wait for any species to finish learning. And the creatures that rule the river operate by their own set of laws. Day 43 of the dry season. The Luangwa has contracted to less than 1/3 of its peak wet season volume. More than 30,000 hippos, the highest density recorded in any river system in the world, are being compressed into the last remaining deep pools. Territories that once lay hundreds of meters apart now share direct boundaries. Hippos require submersion in water for a minimum of 16 hours each day. Their skin cannot produce sufficient protective secretion to replace the role that water performs. Hippo skin is thick but sensitive. At the abdomen and inner legs, the skin is only 2 to 3 centimeters thick. That is where no predator must be allowed to reach. At the peak of the dry season, the hippo population does not decrease, but the available water surface area diminishes by up to 70%. The stress of hippocompression radiates to every other species. The entire riverbank ecosystem must read the signals from the hippo pod before approaching any water point. In the dry season, no species can afford a mistake at the riverbank. In peak dry season, these final pools are not merely hippo habitat. They are the center of the entire remaining ecosystem. The hippos are the axis around which every essential movement turns. Order within a hippopod is not established daily, it is established in specific moments, and then remembered. Each male knows precisely which individuals can defeat it and which cannot. That hierarchy requires no reminder. It is written in the scars on each male's body. In the unconscious yielding postures when two males pass each other in the water, in the careful attention a younger male pays to the larger male's position before choosing his next direction. Territory boundaries are marked by the male hippo coats the riverside vegetation with a chemical signal that any passing hippo reads immediately. When a male judges itself strong enough to challenge the dominant bull, the decisive confrontation begins. They clash, but the primary weapon is not the curved canine. It is the protruding incisors. Wounds are inevitable. But when neither withdraws, the wounds from a full engagement between two bull hippos can extend to 50 centimeters in length. The rate of male hippo mortality from internal conflict exceeds the rate from any predator attack. The dry season compresses living space, generating conflicts that cannot be avoided. And when the confrontation ends, the defeated male swims to shore. His body carries fresh wounds, testosterone still surging. When a defeated bull hippo brings his aggression out of the water, the entire riverbank reads it. A small signal that any attentive species can read. Each of these signals comes from a different species, but all convey the same message. This space is not safe at this moment. The lions have observed the confrontation in the water. They do not act rashly, but neither do they withdraw. Their composure displeases the defeated bull. He must assert himself. He must make clear he is not diminished. The Nsefu pride momentarily startles. If they intend to make their presence known to others, they must hold their ground. Reading that language is not weakness. It is the reason they are still here after all the dry seasons that have passed. No agreement has been signed. No boundary has been drawn. But across thousands of years of sharing the same river, hippos and Nile crocodiles have developed a complex relationship. Two species in the same water, not from friendship, but because conflict is never advantageous for either. But the more remarkable element is what occurs within the ecological chain. Hippo excrement enriches algae and phytoplankton with nutrients. Phytoplankton sustains small fish. Small fish sustain larger fish. Crocodiles feed better because hippos exist. A mature hippo produces approximately 9 tons of excrement annually. All of it dissolving in the water, creating a nutrient cycle with no designer and no intention behind it. And more relevant to what is about to unfold, when the hippopod moves downstream in the late afternoon, the crocodiles reposition accordingly. The result, the largest crocodiles now hold position at the crossing point that the Nsefu pride surveys from the northern bank. No less formidable than the hippos, they represent another dimension of the challenge the lions must face. The Nsefu pride assesses the water ahead. This is something hippos do hundreds of times each day. Hippos have no reason to concern themselves with lions. Lions pose no threat to a 1,500-kilogram animal operating within its aquatic domain. But that indifference contains a reality. Hippos will not intervene. What happens in the water once the lions descend is the river's business alone. It is time for the hippos to graze. They will sweep through the grassland before returning to the water. A female hippo has been selected. The pride launches its attack. A hippo can disregard most threats, but not a threat to its own survival. And the hippo will do whatever it takes to survive. She has survived, though her eyes remain wide with alarm. Nsefu is not simply a name, it is a history. This pride has operated across the northern bank of the Luangwa for multiple generations. Long enough for the buffalo of the area to learn that a roar from the north means do not approach. 8 months ago, they numbered 18. Now they are 12. In that interval, 2 adult males died in territorial conflicts. These were not brief encounters ending with the loser retreating. They were prolonged engagements. That Nsefu's aging males could no longer endure, ending in the only way left available. Several young cubs died from starvation and disease. During weeks when the dry season extended beyond its usual duration, lion cubs are exceptionally vulnerable to environmental pressure. Under normal conditions, fewer than 20% survive to 1 year of age. In an atypical dry season, that figure falls considerably lower. But the numbers are not the most alarming element of Nsefu's story. The most alarming element is what disappears with each individual lost. Each lion carries within it a portion of the territorial map, a portion of the hunt's history, a portion of accumulated knowledge about its enemies. When a lion dies, it takes with it years of accumulated experience that cannot be conveyed to the young. The Nsefu territory once extended across tens of square kilometers, encompassing the richest grasslands, the densest prey concentrations, and the most reliable water sources in the region. This was the product of generations of territorial maintenance of encounters. But the pride from the north did not come to negotiate, they came to take. And with greater numbers, younger males, and superior strength, they succeeded. Nsefu was pushed ever closer to the river. That territory carries a cost. Prides that occupy the riverbank for extended periods must acquire new skills. How to read water levels, how to operate in a space where danger arrives from multiple directions simultaneously. Prides that fail to acquire these skills rarely survive a second dry season here. Lion prides displaced to the riverbank typically do not survive 3 consecutive dry seasons. Nsefu is in the first year of that trial. Can these 12 members endure the harshest dry season of their lives? The answer depends on what they learn, and how quickly. The savanna in early morning carries a particular quality of light. These are daga boys, old males expelled from the herd by the rules of hierarchy, moving in pairs or alone. The name derives from archaic Afrikaans, daga, meaning mud. Daga boys are no longer young. They are no longer as swift as the males within the main herd, but do not mistake that for weakness. An old bull carries a form of experience no young animal can acquire through ordinary growth alone. They have survived everything that has attempted to end them. A mature bull buffalo can weigh up to 900 kilograms. The boss is not simply an offensive weapon. It is armor for the skull, up to 15 centimeters thick. Nothing bites through it. This is what Daga boys offer their hunters in return. Not speed, not flight, attrition. Daga boys do not flee. But 12 lions hunt as a unit. When one tires, another advances. This is what coordinated group hunting gives the lion. The capacity to wear down an opponent over time. Finally, as the afternoon shadows lengthen once more, the Daga boys go down. For the first time in days, a substantial meal that is entirely theirs. The other bull they leave for those waiting below, in the river. The crocodiles have registered the struggle and claim their share while the pride is occupied with its own. But on the upper bank, in the descending darkness, the buffalo herd does not leave. The memory of a buffalo herd is more formidable than any weapon. If you are finding this documentary compelling, please like and subscribe. It helps us bring you more content like this. Do not leave your screen. The survival journey and the fiercest battles of the lion pride are still ahead. "66 million years ago, an object from beyond Earth's atmosphere ended the era of the species that had dominated this planet. Dinosaurs disappeared, crocodiles are still here. The Nile crocodile is the result of 200 million years of optimization, refined to a point where, in literal terms, there is nothing left to improve. A 4-chambered heart, the only one of its kind among reptiles, allows oxygen delivery as efficient as that of birds or mammals. This grants the crocodile the capacity for brief, explosive bursts of activity without the cost of extended recovery time. Specialized eardrums allow simultaneous hearing both underwater and above the surface. A dual sensory system possessed by no other species. The nictitating membrane, a third eyelid, allows clear underwater vision while protecting the eye from damage. Bite force reaches 22,000 newtons, the most powerful of any living creature on land. And above all else, hundreds of sensory receptors capable of detecting microscopic movement in the water, distinguishing the ripple of a moving animal from the ripple of wind or current, allowing the crocodile to see in turbid water through touch. When a species has persisted here for 200 million years without fundamental change, that is the mark of absolute perfection. Their most dangerous attribute cannot be measured by any instrument: patience. A Nile crocodile can remain motionless for more than 2 hours. Heart rate decreases to 2 or 3 beats per minute. Body temperature falls to match the surrounding environment. They are waiting for an unwary animal. Anything that enters the range of a Nile crocodile becomes potential prey if the moment is right. Along the Luangwa's banks, vultures require water, as every species does. Crocodiles do not strike from strong currents. They do not strike when prey remains entirely on dry ground. They wait until prey has entered water deep enough. The vulture stands in water that is too deep. That is its only mistake, and that mistake occurs only once. In seconds, it is over. The crocodile pulls its prey below the surface. The riverbank returns to its previous state, as though nothing has happened. Because to the river, nothing unusual has occurred at all. This is what happens every day. This is what has happened for millions of years. Even so, the pull of water cannot be resisted. Despite knowing the risk, those that have spent hours grazing must still take that risk to quench thirst. Puku are among the most studied species in riverine prey population research in southern Zambia. At birth, they stand approximately 35 to 45 centimeters at the shoulder, small enough to stand beneath their mother's belly. This one is somewhat larger than at birth, but not large enough to understand what it is walking into. It is thirsty. It has become separated, and it comes to the riverbank to drink. And in that moment, it sees its mother on the opposite bank, not far, just a stretch of dry season river, approximately 30 centimeters deep. When the young puku enters the water, the predators have already registered it. The young puku reaches the opposite bank. Water drips from 4 small legs. Its mother is there. This is not a lesson about luck. It is a lesson about probability and the reality that in a sufficiently complex ecosystem, no species controls every outcome, not even the ultimate predators. What does the story of the young puku leave you feeling? Let us know in the comments below. And do not forget to like and subscribe to follow more stories from the Wild Kingdom. The question posed at the beginning of this dry season has no simple answer. Hippos command the water, but not the aggression of their own kind, and not the water that recedes each day. Crocodiles command the crossing points, but not which route their prey chooses, and not the young puku that enters the water without knowing they are there. Lions command the floodplain, but not the dry season. Not the contraction of their territory, not the revenge instinct of species that remember scent, and not the warthog burrows that are no longer the refuge they once were. No one controls the Luangwa, but this is not failure. This is how the system is designed. In ecology, there is a concept known as the keystone species. Remove it, and the entire system collapses. At the Luangwa, in dry season, there is not one keystone species. There are 3. Hippos generate the nutrients that sustain the entire aquatic food chain. Crocodiles maintain the river by removing the weak and the dead. Lions regulate the density of large grazing species. The dry season compresses all of those relationships into the same space. From the start of this dry season, we asked, what controls the outcome when the 3 most dangerous animals in Africa are forced to share the same final space? The answer is not any one species. The answer is the space itself, the ecosystem of which every species is a part, shaped by it. And regardless of strength, incapable of escaping its laws. And when the rains return, they will disperse, each species reclaiming its own kingdom. Exposed atop the protruding kopjes, the lion pride presides with the authority of true sovereigns. Each wind carries the scorching breath of the arid sub-Saharan expanse across their kingdom. The ultimate rulers absorb the harsh sunlight, affirming their inviolable position. With a membership of up to 40 individuals, this is the most formidable assembly across the entire savannah. The sheer scale of the pride establishes a dominant empire. the key to their formidable collective strength. The male lions possess the commanding mane, a mark of identity worn with pride, a reinforced shield in combat, an unambiguous declaration of masculine strength and capability. But the lionesses are the backbone. They form the core, maintaining the close bond that holds the members together. They are the hunters, agile and the most strategically intelligent, with explosive speed reaching 80 kilometers per hour. In coordinated hunting formations, precisely calculated. And that is the greatest concern for the cheetah mother, when she inadvertently enters the territory of these kings. When a lioness detects the cheetah family seeking cover in a state of exhaustion, a death sentence is issued without a moment's hesitation. After a prolonged chase, the cheetah mother is entirely depleted and is forced to deploy in desperation. The distraction display. She uses her own body as a decoy, attempting to draw the lioness's attention, to create an opportunity for her 4 cubs to escape. But in the end, only 1 cub survives. Here, speed may deliver a meal, but only strength can hold the future. But the lion is not the only concern. Beneath the water pools, the Nile crocodile has persisted for millions of years by perfecting the art of ambush. The Talik River is a waterway of constant change. The swift current means that the young cheetahs have no time to register the danger, concealed just beyond the fallen log. The art of crypsis, as practiced by the Nile crocodile, has reached its highest expression. It has mastered buoyancy control, transforming its massive body into a silent element of the landscape. In a fraction of a second of pure alarm, the previously calm surface erupts. Fortunately, the pre-programmed reflexes of the fastest predator on the planet allow the cheetah to avoid a fatal outcome by the narrowest margin, with an improbable evasive movement at the center of the current's force. But this young cheetah does not share that fortune. The turbid water swirls, drawing the small creature into depth. The river sustains life for those that come to the water and also uses them to sustain those that live within it. This is how the cycle of life turns. Even the lion is not exempt from this relentless cycle. When it inadvertently enters the crocodile's aquatic territory. Beneath the surface, every physical advantage and every agility advantage of land possessed by the big cat is neutralized, particularly when that big cat is a lion cub, not yet grown. Even so, in the game of nature, terrain is always the decisive factor. The Nile crocodile must sometimes leave the water to thermoregulate. At that moment, the situation reverses immediately. It has entered territory controlled by lions. The male lions, with their superior weight and strength, do not attack the dense dorsal armor of the Nile crocodile directly. They target the most vulnerable points, the hind legs and the soft underside. The crocodile's armored scales become irrelevant. The entire pride engages in a decisive takedown, not to satisfy hunger, but to reassert a fundamental truth. On this ground, the authority of the lion is absolute. The last to challenge, the lion is not an aggressive predator. but a creature of profound paradox, a bird that defies every expectation of the sky. The ostrich, the largest bird on the planet. This 3-meter-tall creature has abandoned the capacity for flight in order to run against mortality across the African plains for 20 million years. With its long, flexible neck and eyes, larger in diameter than its own brain, the ostrich detects any lurker behind the grass with ease. While most bird species retain a 4-toed foot structure, the ostrich retains only 2, minimizing ground friction to the greatest possible degree, allowing its body of more than 100 kilograms to reach 90 kilometers per hour. Every effort of the savanna's female sovereign dissolves into nothing. The lioness can only watch as her quarry vanishes behind a curtain of dust. Even in a situation of extreme pressure, the ostrich still holds its final defense, a powerful kick from its formidable legs. With thousands of pounds of pressure, a direct strike from its foot is sufficient to fracture the skull of a mature lion. We have just witnessed the rawest glimpses of Alaska's untamed wilderness. Which creature in today's episode changed your perspective on the wild? Was it the fierce clash of the mighty bears or the bizarre showdown between the wolf and the porcupine? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your understanding is the greatest tribute to these wild animals. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to join me on my next field expeditions, where we'll continue to decode the ultimate secrets of survival. And if you're eager to explore more, check out Win or Die, full episode, Deadliest Battles for Survival, or Lion Attack, the Mapogo Battle for Survival.